Hey guys, finally got a haircut, Jared here. After 14 years of patiently waiting, we finally got to see The Incredibles 2, and it pretty much shattered all the predictions we made on our movie podcast, Show Me the Meaning. Now, is the movie good? Yes. Well, we expected that. But what surprised us is just how thoughtful the film is. And it all has to do with the film's villain, Screenslaver. Not only does Screenslaver dole out some majorly relevant commentary on the effects of our culture's obsession with screens, but her presence might just make The Incredibles 2 the most subversive superhero movie ever made. So welcome to this Wisecrack quick take on The Incredibles 2, and watch out, a monster amount of spoilers ahead. But as always, first, a quick recap. Helen gets recruited by media mogul Winston Dever's new PR campaign. His goal? Change the public face of supers in order to reform their image and eventually change the laws that outlaw them. Meanwhile, Mr. Incredible has to take over parenting duties, which means helping Violet through her boy drama and trying to contain Jack's mind-boggling new powers. As the PR blitz kicks off, Helen's job quickly takes her face-to-face with Screenslaver, who literally uses computers and television screens to control people, like a Jedi mind trick with a film degree. Here's the fundamental theme at the core of the film's conflict: that in the digital age, perception has supplanted reality. Early on, Winston introduces us to this idea when he explains the real reason that superheroes were outlawed. Public perception was against them because people associated superheroes with the crime scenes they superheroed at. He argues that in order to change the law, first,
we need to change people's perceptions about superheroes.
Essentially, Winston's pitch is that the image of supers, as communicated by the media, is more real than their lived experience. Thus, Winston thinks that changing the public perception of supers, rather than changing any of their actual deeds, is essential to getting the ban lifted. So his plan is to create a specially curated reality of supers to be consumed by the American people. How will he do this? By sticking a camera in Helen's supersuit and making her both a walking virtual reality machine and a serious competition to Twitch. From there, we meet the villain Screenslaver, later revealed to be Evelyn mind-controlling a pizza delivery guy. Evelyn's motivation is actually a rather sophisticated critique of mindless media consumption and how it makes people passive participants in their own lives. She gives a truly epic monologue in which she complains about the way how everything meaningful must be packaged into talk shows, game shows, travel shows, etc. She sees supers as an essential part of that media landscape, in that they offer a security and comfort that keeps the masses docile. Now, this is where our philosophy senses started tingling. The plot of Incredibles 2 is a neon sign pointing to philosopher/guy we like to mention a lot, Jean Baudrillard, who wrote about the power of screens to influence our opinions and indeed control our lives. In his book Screened Out, he argues that video, interactive screens, and virtual reality have brought us into a state of perpetual interactivity, where there's no longer any separation between the media we consume and lives we lead. If anything, he argues, the virtual reality of the internet, TV, and video games seems more real than the world we inhabit, and even supersedes reality. Both Winston and Evelyn take this theory and run with it in very different ways. Each is trying to use the mediated image, i.e. the perception of superheroes, to change reality, i.e. the law. Baudrillard says that the real aim of media consumption is to hide or disappear into the virtual, an idea that Evelyn's goggles and screens exaggerate to great effect by hypnotizing people into a fugue state in which they are completely detached from the real world. In this way, the film warns about the harmful power of screens to control our lives. The immersive power of Helen's POV crime-fighting videos creates exactly the kind of absorbing media Baudrillard discusses. That's why they're so effective and immediately start shifting public opinion. Also, it's good for plot development. Helen's MO of saving people from bad guys hasn't changed a bit, but now that people can see her bravery up close, it's suddenly more real. At times, the movie isn't too subtle about any of this. At one point, Evelyn and Helen debate like drunk philosophy majors about whether the selling of the product, i.e. the mediated image of it, is more important than the product itself. Now, they can't come to a solid conclusion, which seems fair because modern philosophers can't either, and they've had thousands of pages of writing on which to try. Of course, we later learn that Evelyn's beef with superheroes is less eggheady and more personal. When burglars broke into her family's home, her father counted on his superhero buddies to save him instead of using his safe room. He was shot dead, and as a result, she now blames superheroes for her father's passivity and clear inability to think logically in high-pressure situations. So she decides to use the very thing she despises, the image of supers, to destroy their viability and importance. To her, not only do screens make us passive observers in our own lives, but the image of superheroes on those screens does something similar. The images of benevolent, all-powerful beings perhaps prime us to believe, like Evelyn's dad, that our problems will be solved by strong, altruistic individuals. But wait a second. Aren't we too watching The Incredibles 2, a superhero movie, through a screen? And see, this is where the film gets potentially very subversive. Are we not also participating in this same vicarious hero worship when we watch in awe as The Incredibles save the day on the flashy silver screen? So what are we supposed to think of watching a superhero movie that criticizes the effects of selling superheroes through mediated images? Well, ultimately the ending is pretty comforting to fans. The Incredibles stop Screenslaver, supers are made legal again by some sort of UN knockoff, and Evelyn is carted off by the police. But just when everything is about to be wrapped up nice and neat, Violet, whose third power is apparently sarcasm, immediately jumps in to cast doubt on our happy ending, saying, I'm sorry that she's super rich and will only get like 2 years in jail. So should The Incredibles saving the city from that giant yacht's warpath convince us that everything's all good? Or is Brad Bird pointing at something more sinister with Violet's final quip? Is he suggesting that viewing such an uplifting ending brought by the hands of almighty benign superheroes might make us feel satisfied, even pacified, when in reality, whatever that is, there are still many injustices that need to be addressed? But what do you guys think? Is this the first superhero movie to promote a critical view on the effects of superhero movies? Let us know what you guys think in the comments, and hey, if you like geeking out about what may be Pixar's smartest franchise as much as we do, you gotta check out our friends over at CinemaWins. They just broke down everything awesome about the first Incredibles, and it's incredible. And even if you've seen The Incredibles about 10 times like I have, I guarantee that by watching this video, you're gonna learn something new about why this movie is awesome. And that's what CinemaWins is all about. It's not about subjecting these movies to a level of literalism that they weren't built for. It's all about appreciation. And it's not even just about appreciating the surface level stuff. These guys are really smart. They're really insightful. They dig deep. And I promise that if you love The Incredibles, you'll only love it more after watching this video. And if you guys want another video to check out, I recommend their video on Thor Ragnarok. I'm a big fan of Thor Ragnarok, I really love the director, and after watching their video, I only loved it even more. So if you love movies and love to love them even more, CinemaWins is the place for you. So click here to check out their channel and tell them Wisecrack sent you. Thanks a lot guys, and as always, peace.